All right, today we're jumping into the NFL and NFT. This is going to be a match made in heaven. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Tech Path. Today we're diving in deep on the NFT craze that is Dapper Labs. And Dapper Labs, of course, has been the one, even though I had some feelings that there may be some other players that are going to skirt around this project. But Dapper Labs, of course, has been the one that has jumped in bed with the NFL. Let's jump to the story here. Business on CoinDesk, and of course, Dapper Labs bringing NFTs to the NFL. Through the Flow, it will run, of course, on the Flow blockchain as expected, and it's going to be released this year in the season. So I'm really interested in how this is going to all come together. I want to read some of this here. Basically, you know them as an NFT for the Flow blockchain, reached a deal with the NBA. Remember, they did Top Shot, the marketplace for digital basketball. This, of course, will be a Top Shot style, but obviously for the sports collectibles for the NFL. Sources did tell the publication that the deal makes Dapper Labs the NFL Players Association's second largest source of digital licensing revenue behind EA Sports and Madden video games. That, to me, is a huge statement because of the fact that Madden is about a 25-year project that has been going on, and if you think about the franchise behind EA Sports and what has really happened with the NFL, this could really signify some new areas. Now, my question is going to be, can Dapper really move to the next level? And that is gaming. Gaming will be a big part of how the NFL starts to really monetize NFTs and in general the blockchain technology that's going to be moving. Just like its basketball counterpart, I want to read back here, the NFT marketplace will run on Flow blockchain as expected to release during the NFL season. Video content is going to be the central aspect of the new project, which I think is a cool element. That I feel is going to be one that really does well. And many of the things that if you've seen out on social media, if you follow some of the big social accounts that kind of use the aspect of video more so than anything, that I think is a really good move here. Dapper Labs closed recently, $250 million funding round. This was back in just before September 22nd. I think a lot of that had to do with what was already on the table. In other words, this deal was out there. People got in and somebody made a lot of money with Dapper Labs and investment. We'll talk about that in a second. But $7.6 billion is their valuation. This company is absolutely going to come off the mat, I think, and really become one of the monsters out there. And it's really right after the Sorare soccer deal, which was another $680 million to its war chest, which now pops them up to $4.3 billion. That is just so crazy when you think about these companies. I mean, we had the Sorare founder on here, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago on this show, and it was really an interesting model that I think it wasn't time. We talked about this, is who was going to be the player, no pun intended, that would end up bagging the NFL, and of course, being Dapper Labs, I think that's the big one here. All right, so I want to jump to this other story on the information, which was really kind of the setup of where this was going, and that was the raise that took them up to $7.5 billion in valuation. So Dapper Labs raised the $305 million at the valuation of 2.6. That was back a while ago. The company then is raising a new round. This is the one they're talking about that will go above the $7.5 billion. This again goes back to the whole project being led by Coatue Management. Coatue Management is one that is really invested in a lot of these kinds of projects, and the portfolio of Coatue, if you look at it, is pretty amazing in terms of what they're looking at going forward. The question I have is going to be, how quickly can Dapper really become kind of that unstoppable force in the industry? Because the NFL, I think, was the big one that has yet to be the kind of the piece of the puzzle that had yet to be put into the puzzle that was really going to make up NFT. Question will also be, can this save the NFT marketplace from the bear market? Because a lot of people look at the NFT marketplace currently and whether or not it could make it into the bear market. So there's a lot at work here. It's very early between this relationship. Obviously, we need to see the digital assets that the NFL is going to be putting out. We also need to see some technology improvements. But when you think about it, adding that kind of money to Dapper Labs in terms of development, architecture, and the ability to what I think will be and has to be moving into the gaming space to really kind of create an evolution for many of these kinds of projects, because the NBA, the NFL, and many others, eventually the NFT side of it is going to get a little stale. Now, granted, trading cards or digital trading cards, those kind of things, sure, they'll stick around because of the athletes and their notoriety, but I think the opportunity is going to be bigger on the other side, and that's going to be the gaming side. Now, the question will be, can EA Sports or other entities like that who have big deals with the NFL jump in and compete on a level where Dapper Labs is going? That's why I think it's a big horse race right now between Dapper and EA Sports to essentially come up with the model that could be blockchain gaming for Madden or other kinds of models like that. We won't call it Madden on blockchain, but that could be the element here that we could see. Now imagine all of that, and you look at where sports betting is going in the US, which is getting much more and more favorable, and how sports betting could play into this as an overall model, because there's a lot of projects out there that are doing something similar. If you look back at D-Race, what they're doing in horse racing on blockchain, what could happen if we see that kind of implementation moving into traditional sports, the big three, baseball, football, and of course basketball? That gets very interesting very quickly, and blockchain is going to be the one that kind of helps that move forward. I think there is a lot happening here in this space. This is just the beginning for sure. I want to jump over to Trade the Chain real quick just to show Dapper Labs and Flow, which is their token. Well, let's go to the 7-day. This one is what is very interesting to me, and this is for those of you who are looking at maybe investing into Flow. And I'm going to show you some data here in a second where we get into this. But before we get to that, I want to look at what's happening here with Trade the Chain. So you see this movement down right here, even though we got this news early, really late last night, and that was on the 25th. So here we go into the 26th. You see kind of this downward trend of sentiment here that is not showing up, and then this bubble right here that happens essentially at UTC 4 o'clock. So right there you see a little bit of movement, but yet not much soft movement here on Flow as a whole. So if you're looking at this, you would kind of say, well, listen, something is happening. Flow did not get the pop that it needed. There is still a lot of things that are kind of unrealized in terms of what this partnership is going to mean. But just the pop alone, based on where we are in the current marketplace, I think this should have had a little bit better pop than what it did. Remember, when we put these deals or these analysis together, these are called market movers. Market movers are straightforward. We'll pull together some news items. We'll do some analysis on that, kind of paint the picture, give you guys some research material, and apply some of our own proprietary data, but it is not investment advice. It is a way for you guys to use this as a tool for you to go out and dig into a project on your own and really kind of figure out whether or not it makes sense for you as an investor. I want to jump over to the trading view look at Flow, and we pulled a sentiment bubble here, and this was back in right here, right before the news hit, which was on the 14th of September, right there through the 21st. Sentiment was holding at 6102, but amplification was up a little bit. We're waiting for a bubble to pull here with after and post news to really see if this trajectory is going to hold. But with this amplification, again, a flipped amplification, meaning amp is higher than sentiment, that usually indicates something is up. And this, to me, showed that there was some talk on the street going on with this. There was talk on the street prior to this deal being done. The likelihood and the timing back with when they had received the funding, and then the next thing they do is they drop this. Not saying anything, not pointing any fingers, but I'm just saying there was some talk on the street. Something was up on Flow, and that was the reason we started to see a little bit of this sideways action. So my recommendation, since if I'm looking at this, is would I buy Flow right now? I just want to go back to the chart here and kind of get a little tighter here on where this is trading, which is its bottom right here at $15, and where it could drop to, which is this little trough somewhere in the range of about $14.20. But the high point is right here at $24. So there is some movement here in the next 10 days, at least that's showing up in the sentiment layout and in the amplification for Flow. Could be a delayed gratification. I'm surprised that they didn't maybe try to push this news out faster than they did. Maybe there were some things that detail-wise that would have helped it. The other thing is there's so many other market pressures that are hitting the market right now. But right now, it looks like there might be a little bit of a dip before we start to see a little bit of a rise. I'm going to come back to this token, maybe in a couple of weeks and try to take a look at where it laid up in comparison of where our prediction is going. But again, this one is, if I were looking at it on a buy, sell, hold, comparison, like I do sometimes with stocks, in this particular case, if I was already on it, I would hold it. If I was trying to buy it, I probably would pause and wait for a little bit of the movement. Also wait for maybe the next bump. Now, I know that people are going to say, well, wait a minute, what if this goes to 22 to 30? We missed a rise on this. The NFL and this project is not going away. This is one of those projects that's really going to extend the life of Dapper Labs. In essence, I mean, this company's already almost $8 billion. So the likelihood is, as they continue to move, big point will be here is if the behemoth in the space, being EA Sports, starts to do something very aggressive in the blockchain gaming space, which I think is where NFTs are going to be going. So this could be a short-lived cycle for Dapper and the NFL before it really accelerates up to the next level. And this has happened so many times on the internet and on these software to service type products, which kind of one up each other and continue to kind of move the ball forward. Same kind of thing here. I think NFL is dipping their toe in. It's a good partnership. It's not an unbelievable change in the NFT marketplace, but I do think it's a way for the NFL to see and look cool to the millennials, but better than anything, it's going to give them a chance to really see whether or not this makes sense for them, because licensing in the NFL is absolutely everything, especially when you get into the players level, because with the players level, I mean, literally this is the top of the game when it comes to it. The good thing is, and the great news, is that blockchain is involved in the NFL. And that, to me, is probably the biggest win of all. Whether or not people see this beyond that and really where this is going to be going, still questionable, and definitely one to watch. So still a little bit conservatively optimistic on this partnership and what this means for NFTs in the coming months and maybe over into next year. Question will be is, Super Bowl time comes around in February. What will that look like? That will be one to watch. And that, I think, is when you can take a look at positioning an alt like a flow in a time when something like this could really make a big difference and we could see parabolic moves. So be on the lookout. This is definitely one to put on your star and watch list. Keep an eye on flow, but more importantly, keep an eye on what the NFL is doing strategically, because that's going to be the big play that really kind of sets the path going forward. You're listening to us over on the podcast right now. It's great to have you, but the best place to come is right here on the YouTube channel. You've got to subscribe here on the YouTube channel because we're about ready to drop something absolutely amazing on our community, and that is the Diamond Circle. The Diamond Circle is going to be part of the paulbaronnetwork.com. You'll be able to go over there. You'll also be able to get all the links here soon on YouTube. But the big part of that is going to do three things. We are going to share member-only content. By the way, this is free to you. Member-only content. This will be some of our proprietary research, some of our proprietary data that we typically don't release here on the channel. It's free to you as a Diamond Circle member. The other thing we're going to do, of course, is you're going to get a Diamond Circle email, which will help outline a lot of these kind of projects that we're doing and identifying. And you're also going to get something even more, and that is we're going to airdrop digital assets back to you. Might be some NFTs, might be some token dollars, might be all kinds of new projects, might be some IDO activity. But in the Diamond Circle, all you have to do is join, become a member, and you're going to be part of that, definitely. So stay tuned right here for more detail on that. We've got a video coming out on it, and of course we'll be dropping all kinds of stuff. And guess what? We're going to actually give money away on our live streams. So be watching for the live streams, because if you're a Diamond Circle member, who knows? We might drop some money right in your pocket. So you got to be looking for that. Anyway, if you want to reach out to me, hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.